We are there.
All right, fantastic, fantastic. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, folks. Happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day from DMD.
Remembrance Day from the North.
That's right, that's right. Cheers. Cheers to
Cheers.
all the soldiers. Cheers to all the military. Cheers to those who can't be with us because of their service to our country, to their country. We definitely appreciate everyone's hard work and sacrifice, and not just the military, but also the spouses and the friends and the family. It's a sacrifice for all involved, right?
That's right, my man. That's right.
So, folks, if you don't know me, I'm Curtis Webster, founder of Dad's Married to Doctors. We're about to celebrate 6 years, and it has been a phenomenal 6 years. One of the main reasons, because the gentleman joining me today, Mr. Scott McCarthy. What's up?
Just taking in the day, my man. Just taking in the day as a military member. It's always an important day for us, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So let's
I
do it.
love it. I love it. So, it's funny because I always have to, kind of check myself and check my thinking. So there's, at least here in America, there's Veterans Day, which is today, and then there's Memorial Day. And so it's my understanding that Veterans Day is honoring both those who have passed, but also, of course, those who are still alive and have served or are currently actively serving in military, those who have retired. And then Memorial Day is for those who have served and have already passed away. And what do y'all have in Canada?
Right. So today in Canada, today's Remembrance Day, which stems from the end of the First World War, obviously on 11th of November back in 1918. So the theme really is remembrance, i.e., remembering, paying homage, honoring those who didn't make it home. Uh, and of course, we also did honor living veterans all the time. We always bring them into the ceremonies. They're always a part of the ceremonies and stuff like
Right.
this. What we're seeing right now amongst serving members is also a push of their own recognition of serving. So you see during this time of year, a lot of people, all my friends are changing their Facebook profile pictures to pictures of them on operations
There you
all
go.
around the world, stuff like this. Uh, so personal opinion of that is Remembrance Day is about remembrance. It's about honoring those who didn't come home.
There you
That's
go.
what the veterans are doing. That's what the guys that are still living from the Second World War. They show up to the cenotaphs not to because they were there. They show up to the cenotaphs because they're thinking of their buddies who didn't come home from the war.
There you
For
go.
me, I think about the four guys I know who didn't come home from ops,
Mm,
and so I don't change my picture to me in operation anymore. I
right.
changed my picture to a collage of. Actually, sadly, I need to add the fourth picture now. It was three, but we've had a rough year up here in Canada for the forces. We lost a helicopter, which took out six six members, and then not so long after that, we had a aircraft crash, which took out another member, and then recently we had a training accident, which took out another member. So it's been a rough year for us.
Yeah,
And,
no doubt, man.
and and one of the pilots of the Hilo, the first Hilo that crashed over in the Mediterranean, I went to college with. So and I didn't know him super well, but I
Right.
knew him, but I still knew him. So those guys
So,
that I think of days like today. So for me,
yeah.
it's all about remembrance and not celebrating my service.
Exactly. No, but I totally get that, and I think anytime we can take an opportunity and remember those sacrifices. Anytime I see somebody in their military dress, or I know they're wearing a hat or whatever else, and I know that they're military, I always try and do whatever I can to say thank you, even if it's just the words or paying for their meal or the or at the dry cleaners, whatever. I want to do whatever I can, and I'm so vocal in letting folks know that I appreciate them serving and doing something I myself am not willing to do.
Right,
I mean,
right.
if I had to get drafted and do that whole thing, then I guess I would do what I had to do. But as long as I get the choice, I honor and respect and so appreciate the folks that do it voluntarily, because that to me that just goes above and beyond.
It's funny you mentioned the voluntarily part. So as a guy
Yeah.
who is serving, and people actually stopped sending me messages thanking me for my service today because that was happening quite a bit too. And I was like, don't thank me. I signed up for this gig. I made the choice. I made the decision. This is
Right.
not. You don't need to thank me right now. I'm not on operation. I haven't. I'm not doing anything. I'm at home. Uh, Ultimately, it's a job. Like It's a job
Yeah.
like no other job, but it's a job. And I chose to live this lifestyle. So, go thank the veterans, the veteran who signed up for the Second World War,
Right.
knowing that he probably wasn't going to come home,
That's right.
right? Go spend 2 minutes and take a moment silence at a cenotaph. I much prefer people do that than thank me, send me
Yeah,
message
thanks.
of thanks and stuff like this, because it's not my time. It's
You're
not my
right.
time for that. I don't feel like I've necessarily earned that requirement per se.
Well,
I'm still going.
you bring up a great point, and I think we have this conversation regularly, and also for those who are watching us, if you serve or you have a family member or a friend that's serving, and like Scott said, even more importantly, that has passed, or you have a story you want to tell about them, we'd love for you to share that in the comments. Let us know,
Oh yeah.
where they served, how they served, and definitely take this opportunity to let us all remember and cherish them. But Scott, I think you bring up a great point, because we talk about this when it comes to our spouses or even to our kids, and how they want to be loved, how they want to be shown love and appreciation. And so I think what you said about you personally, people sending you the thanks, and you're like, you don't necessarily have to do that. I think it's still important to send the words, but actually that brings up a great point. So how are some other ways that we can show thanks, that we can show that reverence and that respect? And I know I mentioned a couple a moment ago where, like I said, I always try and not only say thank you, but also even spend a little money, if I can buy the food that they're getting, or pay for the whatever product or service that they're doing in front of me or behind me. But are there other ways that would be great to show, to remember, show respect, show appreciation?
I think if you're close to a military member, here's the number one way you can do that, and that's by helping their family when they're not there, right?
There you go.
So right now we're actually in some parts of Canada, winter has come, and
You're right.
here
Winter
in
is coming.
southern Ontario, we're on the brink of winter, right? And for me personally, I said at 48 hours notice to move right now, so I get a phone call, and 2 days later I'm gone. So that leaves a hole here,
Right.
and it leaves a hole for any military family whenever a loved one, whether that's the father or wife, mom or dad, gets deployed. So if you're close, if if a neighbor is a military member, and they're suddenly gone on deployment, how can you help that family out get through
That's
that
good.
deployment? Is that what does that look like? Is that simply as shoveling the driveway or snow blowing the driveway in the wintertime when they're not there? Maybe it is dropping off a home cooked meal every now and then, or we're offering to take care of the kids so the spouse can get out for an hour or two by themselves, because it's almost
That's good.
impossible, right? So there's all these little ways that you can help out, but I think that's probably one for serving members, that would be a great help for them, because often we're away from our families. Like, I'm lucky that I have my brother in this city because he's military and he's posted here as well. But that's only been the past few years. Like, we were posted out in Edmonton, Alberta, which is in the far west of Canada. My wife is from Ontario here, and I'm from the far east
All
of
right.
Canada. So, like, when we're in Edmonton, we had no family, we had no one.
See. Wow.
Right. So, luckily, we had no kids at that time, neither. So, it wasn't a big deal when we went away. But right now, if I suddenly went away, like, there's a big hole here for Julie to take care of. So if you can
Right.
kind of step in, help fill that void a bit, that's definitely going to help, because so many military families, they're without their actual family, their
Exactly.
immediate family. Now, what ends up happening is the military, we are a family, we become a family. People do step in and help out and stuff like this. But if you can help yourself, I think that would be a great way to do that.
I see. I love that, and like I said, especially within your family. I mean, you both are military. You're not just a dad married to a military doctor, but you're military as well. So you're both actively serving right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're both
So
we're both active. We're both in full time.
exactly,
Uh,
full-time serving. So I can only imagine, especially when, like I said, in your situation, definitely needing that help, and then and even when maybe the dad is not actively serving, but supporting the family while the spouse is active military. So like I said, I can imagine that help goes all the way around, and would be
yeah,
appreciated all the way around.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Wow.
So
So So that makes me wonder too. So you know, getting friends and family to be able to help out and join in and provide that extra support. What are some other tips that you've kind of seen in your DMMD, dad married to military doctor lifestyle, that would help others that are maybe newer in their military service, or you know, or looking for other ways that they could support their military families?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a great question. I think supporting, I guess it's not a huge difference really in how you support a military member that lives near you, or supporting another DMDer whose wife happens to be in, right?
Exactly.
Uh,
Right.
we all go through the same type of things, so they're often gone on operations. So if you can help that DMDer out, however, taking care of the kids for an hour or two, or taking care of meals, or even shoveling the dude's driveway, whatever,
Yeah.
all those things still help. But I think the biggest thing, especially for guys, is getting that network of guys. So being able to get a group of guys and, like, all right, when do kids go to bed? Kids are in bed by 8. All right, cool, we're coming over 8:30 with a couple cases of beer, sit around and
Yeah.
watch the game, right? A little bit hard right now with COVID times, but okay,
Right.
Zoom call it. It's possible. I've done it.
There you go.
I've done
Figure it
I've
out.
done it with my army buddies from coast to coast in this country, and we literally sat on Zoom before Zoom was the thing, and had beers and all caught up. So that's one of the ways you can definitely help out. If you have experience, maybe often guys, especially guys who, the wives are new to the military, and they're new to it, and it's the first deployment. It's pretty nerve-wracking, right?
Right.
It's stressful. So if you have experience, if you're a former forces member, or if you're still serving, being there to answer those questions, to help put those fears away, when the spouse is away, because you don't know. And when we go on deployments, it's actually easier for the person who's deployed.
Yeah.
You just go and you do your job. That's it. You don't have to worry about anything, because everything's there for you. You don't have to worry about meals. You don't have to worry about even laundry and all this stuff, because you're in especially for docs, they're generally in well-established camps and stuff like this, with all these types of resources and services that get provided for them, so they can focus
Oh,
on
wow.
doing their job.
Right.
But the spouse who's left home is still worrying about food, worrying about meals, worrying about the dishwasher breaking down, and do we go for the Bosch 800 or not this time,
That's right.
right?
The DMD favorite.
Right, they're worried about all these different things, and so if you can be there to help support them getting through, that's another great way. And then finally
Yes.
setting them up for the reintegration part, because
Mm.
when we come back home. So both my wife and I, Julie's got 2 deployments under her belt. I have 1. We have about equal amount of time away, though. Um, so I'll tell you, the first 3 weeks ish is great. It's like honeymoon phase. You're like all lovey dovey. 4 weeks hit, and you want to kill each other. And the reason for that is that the person who's at home establishes a new routine.
Right.
Right? The person at home, the equilibrium reestablishes different than when it was before the military member left.
Right.
But for the military member, it's kind of like they go into a friggin' vortex, black hole type thing. Time for them back home stands still in their mind. So they come home and they're expecting everything to be the same. But
Right.
meanwhile, the other spouses, things have changed. Like all of a sudden they're like, hey, where's the spatula at?
They reorganize, yeah,
Right.
move stuff around.
Move shit around, but they've like reestablished a new routine.
Exactly.
They've reestablished, they picked up different services. They've done this, they've done that. They've changed things, and also just to make it work for them only. So all of a sudden, after
Exactly.
4 weeks, at the 4 weekish mark, you start getting conflicts. You start butting heads, because suddenly the person who was away on deployment is expecting things to be exactly the way they were when they come back.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, the person who's been home at all the time is like, hey, this this has been working. Stop trying to change it because it works.
Exactly. Oh,
So
man.
that equilibrium needs to reestablish, but it's not going to reestablish to be exactly the same as what it was before the deployment.
Right.
So
Dude, I
yeah,
love that.
there's a lot of challenges. So if if you're a military member, or if you and you know someone who's going through these stages, you can be there for them, explain what's going to happen to the to them, to the family. Heck, if you're if you're married to a military doc right now and you're
Yep.
going through your first deployment, reach out to me. I don't care. Reach out to me and I will help you. I will talk, I'll be
That's
there
good.
for a standing board, right? Because I know exactly what you're going to go through, because I've been
Right.
on both sides of that coin. Because Julie's first deployment, she was away by herself. Her second deployment, both of us were over there, but she went home early, ironically, for a med school interview. Because she was a nurse at the time. She wasn't even a doc.
Right.
So thanks to deployments to Kandahar, she ended up going to medical school, getting
That's
that
so cool.
inspiration, going to medical school. So anyway, all I'll say is I've been on both sides of the coin. So if
Yeah.
you're a DD or DMM deer, and you got questions, you're wondering about stuff, don't be shy, man. Don't be shy.
I love what you mentioned there, because we talk about this a lot in Plus with the coaches that we have over in DMD Plus. One of the things we've talked about is thought process. Information is information, and then we give it power as to how we choose to let those thoughts influence, our attitude and our mindset and everything else. And so it's interesting what you talked about with you come back home, the 3 weeks of the honeymoon period, and then all of a sudden you start bumping heads. And I can imagine, the person that's just coming back from deployment is like, well, I'm just trying to help. I just want to jump in. I know you've been doing all this stuff. I just want to help. And then when they maybe turn that help away or say what you're doing is not helpful, we can take that personally and get upset about it, instead of realizing, oh, wait, this is just information that's being given, right? This is an opportunity for improved communication so that we can, make sure that the way in which I'm trying to help is the most helpful.
Oh, buddy, let's up the ante. Let's get real with this type of combo. So, so the honeymoon phase lasts 2 to 3 weeks, and then it's actually more issues than what you even think what it is. It's the breakdown of communication, but actually, even at that point, as a returning member, you start developing issues. Right. So when I came back from Kandahar, I got angry at around 3 to 4 week mark. I mean, angry. Like, I remember being at Walmart, pulling into Walmart to park, and a dude was pushed his shopping cart, unloaded his car, jumped in his car. He was starting to get around in his car, and it was like in the way. And I had parked, and I got out of my car and started yelling at the guy for leaving his fucking cart there, and the cart hole, the pen or whatever it was, was
the
like
cart return area.
Yeah, it was like 10 feet away, and I lost my mind on this guy.
Wow.
Right. I couldn't be in crowds for a while.
No doubt.
Yeah, I couldn't be in crowds for a while because I was constantly looking for threats.
No, so that makes sense, right? Because you're used to looking out everywhere, right?
Yeah, you go in to sit down for a coffee and you double check to see how many exits there are and which one's closest to you in event of a threat.
No, see, now you remind me of the Jason Bourne movies.
Yeah. So all this stuff starts manifesting around 3 weeks post deployment for the members, right? So, a lot of anger, a lot of different emotions to get through. And people just complain about stuff. We live very privileged lives here in North America, and people complaining about, like, my internet's slow. You're like, internet's slow.
You're right.
You're lucky you got it. Like,
exactly.
I had an interpreter assigned to me. I didn't know if he was showing up to work every day. If he was late by 5 minutes, I was wondering whether or not because his internet was slow. I was wondering if he was dead or not.
Yeah. Wow. Totally different circumstances.
Totally different life. Like our first month. So our first month in Kandahar, like one of our Terps got assassinated. Right?
Yeah. Wow.
It totally changes your mind space. the way you think and look at things, and
Right.
how privileged we are here. So all this starts manifesting out of the person who's been deployed,
Right.
because they've been in such a high stress zone around 3 weeks mark, right?
Some of it starts
once
to come
the
back.
honeymoon, so you got this breakdown in communication, you got this, all these stressors that are starting to come out of the person that's deployed. It's a great recipe for disaster, let me tell you. So
I,
that's why it actually, post deployment is a great time for counseling, honestly.
so that was going to be my next question, because I remember one of the guests that we had and plus was a former Navy SEAL commander, captain, for,
Captain.
Captain John Havlick, and I remember him talking about that, the fact that he's even working on doing a thesis and a whole study on the mental. And right now in the month of November, one of the big things we're focusing on within DMD is men's health, the physical,
Yep,
the emotional, the mental, all those different
exactly.
pieces. And I remember former Navy SEAL Commander John Havlick talking about just what are some of the differences, what are some of the things that folks do while they're deployed as well as when they come back, so that they can make sure that they're in a good headspace to re-enter society successfully.
Yeah. Yep. So often, I know in the Canadian Forces we do decompression periods, but again, it's so short. It's only a handful of days that they pull us out of the theater, bring us to a third location where we go through a bunch of briefings. But there's also place for us to unwind, relax, and all this stuff.
Right.
Uh, but at the same time, like there's so much wound up that it's a good start. It's not the ideal, but there is no perfect solution, because guys want to get home to guys and gals want to get home to their families too. So there's a lot of
Exactly.
it's kind of a dichotomy there. But it is a process. Like it took me weeks to stop looking for my weapons when I got home.
Wow. Yeah.
Like you wake up, like you put your pants on, you put your pistol holster on, you grab your C8. Like it was just natural.
Exactly.
So you're like, oh, where's my guns? Like, oh yeah, right, I'm home. I'm in Canada. I don't need
Oh
guns.
man.
I'm not in Georgia or Arizona. Just joking.
Well, so you mentioned, that it would be great for folks to go ahead and get counseling and get some therapy, to have somebody to talk to. Are there any other kind of self-help or steps that you think folks should do on a more regular basis, especially as they're coming home, or even for the spouse, the one who's
Yeah.
been home? What are some other things that they should do to make sure that they can reconnect and reintegrate into society successfully?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So there often are, post-deployment briefs and stuff like this. What I
Right.
would suggest is definitely do not, not be there for them or not pay attention, right? Because there is a lot of great information in those post-deployment briefings, and understand the stages that both either you or your partner is going through.
Okay.
And understand, like, oh, you're starting to see these warning signs, and like, okay, all right, we had our first fight since you came home. Oh wait, now are we coming out of the honeymoon phase? Like, why are you so upset right now?
You're right.
And start acknowledging the stages that you're going through. So being aware and acknowledging the stages of that you're going through, and as I said in plus in the video, not ostriching, i.e. putting your head in the sand and saying, oh, that's not happening, it's just having a moment right now.
Exactly.
So being aware of it, just being able to talk freely, enabling the member that comes back to express what they went through on deployment, but not force it out of them.
Exactly.
Right, let them come out with the stories naturally, if they want to. If they don't, that's fine. I got stories that I'll probably hold till I die, and there's
Right.
stories that I'll talk about. It's just the way it goes,
Hmm.
from ops. So this is just how it is. And then enabling them to reintegrate with people who they're there with, because often what happens is a lot of these units that get deployed are from different parts of the country.
Right.
And especially if the military spouse, the PM is a specialist, she may not be from the deploying base, the mounting base, so she might be one that's been added in per se
Okay.
So she'll go over and she'll make these great friendships, deep bonds with these people over there, and she'll come back home, and all of a sudden they get sent, back home. But back home was not the home where everybody that she was just working with is not the same home. So
Right.
how do we reintegrate? And actually, something interesting that we did, Julie and I, when we came back from Kandahar, was that when I got back, we booked a vacation and went to San Diego because
Nice.
she was working at the Royal 3 Multinational Hospital over in Kandahar, and the American unit was from San Diego.
There you go.
So we actually met back up with all, not all, but a load of her friends from Kandahar
Right.
who were in San Diego, but we're not in a war zone anymore.
Exactly.
We hang out like normal people.
Dude, that's awesome. Something I love that you said there, and I hear this come up so much, even last night when we were talking about postpartum depression and what that looks like, even amongst men, is how important it is to make sure that feelings are validated. That if somebody wants to share something, or if they don't want to share something, if somebody feels a certain way, not just writing that off, or as my wife says, stop poo-pooing off my feelings. So something we're all still working on, or at least I'm still learning, but it's so important, and I keep hearing it come up over and over again, to make sure you don't invalidate that other person's feelings. Feelings are not good or bad, it's just how the person feels.
They just are, right? So no, it's so true. It absolutely is, and it takes a lot of work. And the problem is, often, even for a military member like myself, it's hard for me to understand what my wife has gone through. It's hard
Right.
for me to understand, like, even being there at the same time. It's hard for me to understand what she went through, but at the same time, it's hard for her to understand what I went through.
Right.
Right? We
Wow.
we have general ideas of what each other did, like, um, but at the same time, we weren't with each other 24/7. We didn't even stay in the same room. We were in different parts of the base and
Exactly.
everything. So, um,
Wow, man.
there's, you kind of make that separation. There's walls, psychological walls that go up and all this stuff. So
There you go. Well, I know as we get ready to wrap up here, I know we were going to talk about, especially going back to the point of here in November, we're celebrating all aspects of men's health. And I know we have a special guest coming up here actually next week, where we're
oh
going
yeah.
to, yeah, exciting. Because, this is the thing I love about military. Y'all have so many life skills and lessons that you've learned that apply to everybody, not just other military members, but just to everybody. So I want to have you talk about another Navy SEAL, John McCaskill, that's going to be joining us next week. If you can talk about what he's going to bring to the table, and how that ties in, especially with men's mental health.
Yeah, John McCaskill, another former U.S. Navy SEAL commander, actually super recently retired, graciously coming to talk to the guys at DMD Plus and do a Q&A session. So as you and I discussed long ago, Curtis, this topic is just too important to hold within DMD Plus, like mental health and mindfulness. So hence why we're gonna push this stream to DMD as a whole in the main group.
Yep. So the
Not
whole
on the
DMD
page,
ecosystem. Yep.
not on the page, but
Yeah, not on the public page, but within the private 4,000 member group. Right.
yeah, exactly. Right. So we're going to be talking about mental health. John's an advocate for mental health and mindfulness. I'm actually putting in the comments of this video on the page and the group my podcast interview. So I host a leadership podcast. This is how I met John, and I had him on, and we discussed it near the end of the podcast about mental health, mindfulness, and all this. And he talked about him going to a dark place and
Right.
contemplating doing things to himself
Mm.
and stuff like this, and essentially then he started talking about the benefits that he's seen through mindfulness and acknowledging his mental health and all this and all these good things. So he's coming on
That's
for a
good.
Q&A session for the guys in Plus, and but it's gonna be available to all the guys here at DMD. So super excited. John's an amazing fascinating guy, and he's like, you think he's average Joe. You're talking to him, he just loves the laugh. He's kind of like you, Curtis, loves to joke and have fun and laugh. So anyway, the interview that I did with him on a leadership premise is in the comments if you want to check out before next week. But definitely, guys, you want to check this out.
There you go.
Recording will be up there, but you should check it out live. And if we can get to your questions, we'll get to your questions.
There you go. I love that. And as we talk about all the time, I mean, that's the whole thing. That's what DMD was started for. We wanted to make sure that, especially we had a community for dads married to doctors to figure out how to become better dads, husbands, and men. But as I was even talking with some folks recently, the reason why we share some of this information and some of these interviews and content publicly is because we think it's good for everybody, especially right now in the midst of COVID and so many people dealing with mental health challenges and struggles. The more information we can get out that can help everybody, the better. So,
Yeah, for
oh
sure.
man. Well, Scott, I appreciate you sharing your some of your stories with us today. I mean, some of this, even over the years that we've known each other and been talking, you've shared some new stories tonight that I hadn't even heard before, and some experiences.
I'm sure got a few more. I'll just save them for when we actually meet face to face and have a drink together.
Dude, I cannot wait. But no, as everybody says, thank you for your service. No, but seriously, I do. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate all those that are serving or have served, and especially those who have paid the ultimate price in their service to our country, to their country. So folks that are celebrating, thank you so much. Like I said, I'd love for you to share any folks you'd love to honor in the comments. If you have a story you want to share, and even also, I think something that would be helpful, if you have any tips that have helped with reintegrating into society, reintegrating back into the normal day to day. Some of those things that could help other folks that are within military marriages, and especially if they're in physician military marriages. If you have tips that could help, please share those in the comments, and we'd love to hear from you. So
Awesome.
yeah. And one final thing, Scott, you just looking at you reminded me. We also have an official subgroup for those dads married to military doctors. That's actually what it's called. So if you are a dad married to a military doctor, we'd love for you to do a search and join our DMD official subgroup, so you can also get even more specific support there. But Scott, anything else as we get ready to sign off?
I would say, just in respect of the day, if you haven't had a chance, an opportunity, because not everywhere recognizes today, regardless what you call it, Remembrance Day, Veterans Day, Armistice Day, who cares what the title is? The day is meant to honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. So not everywhere gives this day off.
Right.
As a holiday, or I don't even consider it as a holiday per se, but a
Right.
Statutory day off. So if you haven't had the opportunity, as I said on a personal post for my personal Facebook today, remembrance isn't a place. It's an act. Honor isn't a gathering, right? It's a feeling. Right. So you can take time to remember and pay on, and honor those who didn't come home at any time, anywhere. So if you haven't had the opportunity to do that today, just take a couple of minutes and reflect and be grateful for all the great things that we have. Because I've literally traveled this globe. Previous job, I did 10 countries. Literally all around the globe, and wow. I've been to the US, and I lived here in Canada, and I can tell you that we live in the best two countries in the planet, and we are very lucky to have some of the things that we have. You don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to be able to make it to work on time, right? But rather on time but alive.
Oh yeah.
Right. You don't have to worry if your building is going to collapse because there's shell holes in it, and there's you don't have to worry about where our next meal is coming from and all this other stuff. So we're very lucky to live where we live. So be thankful, be grateful, and just take a couple of minutes to pay respects to those who bought that for us.
There you go. Like they always say, freedom isn't free. Somebody paid the price.
Absolutely.
No, I love it. And like you said, I know a lot of people love to do their gratitude, and especially use November as that opportunity to for remembrance and for gratitude. So definitely want to add those who have served and are serving to that list. So thank you for that reminder, Scott. So folks, thank you all so much for joining us today. You can find all the information about Dads Married to Doctors on our website and across all of our social media. So dadsmarriedtodoctors.com. And we're typically at DMD Lifestyle on all of our social. So thank you all. We will see you next time.
Take care.